Hello everyone, Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching. I have another Monday quarterback video for you. I'm going to play this video and talk about things that are going on to better explain what's going on and talk about things that I think that are being done right and are done wrong. So this comes out of the state of New Jersey. And New Jersey does things a little bit different when it comes to the officer involved shooting videos. Their state law came about a few years back that directed the Attorney General to investigate all police involved fatalities. I think that's how they word it. So it's not just shootings, but it could be like police car wrecks that public die from, or just the public, like someone random could just walk to the police station and die of a heart attack. And under their law, the Attorney General does their investigation and then they release that information to the public. And of course, they release things that are redacted, and they don't do a presentation like other places across the country do. They don't do any type of critical incident review. There's no spokesperson explaining to you things that are going on. They literally just provide a link to their website that has sometimes multiple files, sometimes just a couple videos, but there's no commentary, no one explaining anything going on or anything. So the only thing we have is this press release from the Attorney General's office, and then we got a few videos from this incident. So the press release reads that the Attorney General's office today released footage from body-worn and surveillance cameras related to a fatal police-involved shooting on January 24, 2024 in South Brunswick, Middlesex County. The deceased was previously identified as Shamar Leggette, 41, of Brooklyn, New York. The fatal shooting is under investigation by the Office of Public Integrity and Accountability. The recordings are being released pursuant to policies established by the Attorney General's office in 2019 to promote the fair, impartial, and transparent investigation of fatal police encounters. Investigators previously met with the family of Mr. Leggette to provide them an opportunity to review the videos before release. According to the preliminary investigation on January 24, 2024, at approximately 2:05 p.m., members of the U.S. Marshals Service New York, New Jersey Regional Fugitive Task Force assisting the New York office of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives arrived at a motel on Route 1 South in the township's Monmouth Junction section to execute an arrest warrant for a suspect being sought in connection with several felony investigations. At approximately 2:47 p.m., the individual to be arrested, Mr. Leggette, exited a motel room and exchanged gunfire with officers in the motel's parking lot. 8 members of the task force fired their weapons at Mr. Leggette. One additional officer deployed non-lethal force prior to the fatal altercation. Mr. Leggette was pronounced deceased at approximately 4:29 p.m. Authorities recovered 2 firearms near the suspect. No officers were hit during the shooting. They give the link for the videos on where they can be viewed at, and then they just go in and explain what that 2019 law is that directs the Attorney General's office to investigate these fatal police encounters. All right, so don't have any other information on this. I haven't looked at any other news articles or anything like that, but based off the fact the U.S. Marshal's Office is looking for this guy for multiple felony convictions, and when you see the video of him coming out blazing away like he did, it is no doubt to me that this guy has been involved in the criminal justice system multiple times before. Which is pretty common when it comes to incidents like this, where police, the U.S. Marshals, are having to hunt certain people down. That tells you that the people that's being dealt with they're real true criminals. Like, you don't send the U.S. Marshals after someone who has unpaid parking tickets. Like, they don't waste their time looking for people like that. They don't waste their time looking for people who are wanted and skipped bond just because they wrote some bad checks, right? Like, the U.S. Marshals go after killers. They hunt down killers. That's what they do. So they're going after serious people. And I'm not saying that this dude that wanted killed anybody. I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt if he shot at people before. But I mean, to really spell it out to you or draw it out to you in Crayola. Like, that's what the U.S. Marshals do. They go after serious, dangerous criminals. So, no doubt to me that this guy's been involved in the criminal justice multiple times. I would not be surprised to find out if this dude was probably out on probation or parole or something. That seems to be a very common thing here in the States. Our courts just release violent criminals all the time, and they put them on probation or they get out of prison early on parole, and they go right back to doing the same crap that they were doing that put them in there. It's like our judges and our courts are just smoking crack. It's like they're just went off on the deep end of stupidity, jumped out of the retard tree and hit every branch on the way down. Like, it's out there, man. It's crazy. It is. It's a really bad situation that our country is in with the criminal justice system. It's scary. All right, so enough of that. Let's get into the videos. 4. All right, so we have the footage of the security camera footage of the hotel. They mentioned that they had body cam footage, but we don't see any body cam footage in the link tree here. I'd imagine that if there was any body cam footage, it was probably from a position where the camera didn't capture anything of value at all. It could be it was being worn by one of these people with the body shields, and the camera just picked up the back of the shield, and that was it. That's all it ever captured during this entire event. Or it could be someone who wasn't even to the front over here. They could have been someone pulling security on the other side of the building, because all we have is a few security camera footage angles here. But we see them in the parking lot here. We got one vehicle here, a couple people behind it. We got a SUV here, people on the back and the front of it, and we have another SUV here, and then there's some more people over in here. They are pointing their weapons at a door that is right outside of view of the camera. So where you see my mouse cursor circling at, the door is in this general area right in here. And the video, this one is 5 minutes long, and it's just mostly showing these guys in the parking lot, hiding behind the cars or taking cover behind the cars and moving around. You don't really see a whole lot going on until you get to about the 4-minute 30 mark. Yeah, about the 4-minute and 40-second mark. And then just all of a sudden, it's a shootout. So let's pay attention to this area right in here. Contact happens. This guy with a shotgun comes out, does some work with it, reloads, and gets that shotgun back in the fight. So pretty cool seeing some shotgun work here. You don't see shotguns being utilized a whole lot anymore. Shotguns have kind of almost pretty much been replaced by patrol rifles. You still got some people out there still utilizing them. Like I said, for the most part, the AR-15 has pretty much dominated that field. But before the AR-15 ever came about, it was 12-gauge pump shotguns that were the preferred long gun for law enforcement. It was probably the most efficient long gun available to law enforcement, and the most cost-efficient one, certainly. It didn't cost a whole lot of money to buy these 12-gauge pump shotguns and give them to police officers. They were pretty cheap. They were simple to use. Didn't really require a whole lot of upkeep on them. You still got to take care of them, but it's not like a whole lot of cleaning and anything. And the payload that you can send through them, whether it be buckshot or slug, those were pretty devastating. Not many people can survive a buckshot to the chest, right? Like, this thing was designed to take down deer. It'll put people down. It will. The buckshot sends out multiple, basically 9 millimeter size pellets into people in a pretty good tight group. And then you've got your slug, which is just a big fat piece of lead. That's just devastating. So they were cheap to equip a bunch of people. They were simple to use. They didn't take a whole lot of instruction and know-how on how to work these things. They could take some abuse and didn't have to have a whole lot of upkeep on them, and they would still work. And the terminal ballistics were pretty good. You didn't have to worry about a whole bunch of over penetration like you would if they were to use a rifle from back in the day, like an M1 Garand. Like, you could totally run the risk of over penetration with an M1 Garand. Other weapons, they would be pretty heavy way back in the day, because you're looking at weapons that were made with all wood furniture and stocks and milled receivers. Like, they just took a big chunk of metal, took a big drill press, and milled that stuff out. So that stuff's heavy. Like, when you think about the 50s and 40s and stuff like that, weapons then they're heavy. You look, even something like a Thompson submachine gun, even something like that. Like, you pick that thing up, it's got some weight to it. And shotguns, they're not that heavy. But other rifles, of that time period, they were very heavy rifles. They were very long, right? The only thing that I could think of back in the day that would probably make a good patrol rifle, something that could be of the equivalence to what we've got today, would probably be something like the M1 carbine. Something like that, I think, would probably be a good patrol rifle. I'm actually kind of surprised that it never really did find its way into uniform work like that, like being a patrol rifle, because it's a good little carbine. But anyway, shotguns been around for a while, but they've pretty much been replaced by ARs, and you just don't see them a whole lot. So when I get to see them come out and get used, it's kind of like whoa, that's kind of cool. And you see him, he fires, he pulls one off the side saddle, and it looks like he loads one in through the breech, which is even cooler, right? Like, you don't see that a lot in these action videos. So traditionally, you load a shotgun through the bottom into the tube magazine, and that's how most people know how to load it. But you can actually also do an emergency reload through the breech, like where the empty shells come flying out of. You can throw a live shell into that hole, rack the pump forward, and that thing's ready to rock. They call it port loading. It's a very quick, dirty way to get that shotgun back in the fight, because you got to think, a shotgun holds maybe 5 to 7 shells max, right? Unless you get one of those specialty shotguns that has a detachable box magazine or drum magazine. If you just got a regular pump action shotgun, about 5 to 7 rounds or 5 to 7 shells is what you're going to be carrying in that thing. And so you can see right here along the side, there's a side saddle here, and that holds maybe 5 to 6 additional shells on the shotgun, so that when you dump your 5 shells, you go bang, 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 bang. You can take those shells off the side of that shotgun and quickly reload that shotgun and get it back in the fight. And that is really that is one of the biggest negative downsides to a pump shotgun, is its round capacity. It's just limited to 5 to 7 shells, and it's kind of like a revolver, right? You only get like a 6-shot revolver. That's all you got, and then you gotta pop that wheel open, do this incredibly long, forever feeling reload, and then boom, get it back in the fight, and you only got 6 rounds, right? Shotgun. I mean, it feels like it takes forever putting shells in that damn thing, especially under pressure. Um, but it's cool, like I said, to see one, the shotgun being used, but then two, boom, this guy does a port loading on this shotgun. So he's taking one of those shells off the side saddle, throw it in the port, loading it that away, and getting his shotgun trained back on the threat. All right, so we see the shotgun guy do some work. What's this guy gonna do? He fires. Looks like he's got a rifle, maybe. Yep, he's got a rifle. So he dumps a few rounds out of his rifle. And then this one dude that was coming up, what does he do? It don't look like he had much of any sighting or anything like that. So he don't shoot any. Let's go to this guy right here. Let's see what he does. It's hard to tell for sure what he has. Yeah, I can't tell what he has. Let's see what he does again. I don't know. I have no idea what this dude's got. It's hard to say for sure. We see it might be a pistol. It could be a rifle. I have no idea. Alright, let's see what these guys back here are doing. So one is, that's, I think, a rifle right there that this guy has. Alright. And it's just this guy, I think, that starts moving. Yeah, so let's see what this guy does. Oh, so he looks like he's got a pistol. He's firing multiple rounds. And then we've got one guy here and this guy right here. They don't appear to get any action. This dude backs away and starts to get in between these two guys here and starts to get a sight picture, but it don't look like he gets anything into the fight. That dude with the shotgun, man, he comes out, he comes out from behind cover here and he advances on the threat. He's like, man, fuck hanging up behind cover. I'm going to it. Bring the fight to him. All right, so we see them, open up, right? So let's go see what they were opening up on. All right, so this is the door that the guy is going to be coming out of, and the police are over in this area over in here where my mouse is circling at. So they're over in there, and he's going to come out of this door super fast. He's going to come out, guns in hand, just a blazing glory, right? Like he comes out, that door jerks open, he starts to come out. Either he gets knocked down by bullets or he slips and falls, hits here, lays sideways right here, and just gets eat up with bullets. So let's skip forward through some of this. The very beginning of these videos just have a lot of footage, nothing of value in them. Alright, so we have to pretty much go to the end here to see the action. Here he comes. Fucking ate him up. Boom. Like I said, he comes out of there fast. Back it up just a little bit more. Comes out. 2 guns. And like I said, I'm not so sure if he just got shot down to the ground or he slipped and fell as he came out. But, I mean, just look at, just look at all this, man. Like, just a wall of bullets coming at him. Now, take note that when he comes out, he's got this ball cap on, right? He falls down, it's still on his head, right? And then quickly it comes flying off. So somebody got a headshot in, and that it blew that hat off his head. I feel pretty confident about that. And you just like you see the flower bed here just explode from all these rounds being fired at him, and we don't see really what looks like a bunch of missed rounds in the background, right? Like, we don't see this brick right here turning in the dust. We don't see this turning in the dust. It don't even look like the screen on the vending machine has been hurt. I mean, maybe. Let's see if we can see what the vending machine looks like. All right, so something hit the vending machine. You see the glass on it kind of shattered. So missed round right there, most likely. But, I mean, it doesn't look like we're seeing any other major damage to anything. We see some dust plume right there. So right here in the hallway, we see a dust plume right in here. So that's a missed round. Let's scan the rest of the area, see if we can see anything. I mean, not seeing much of anything in the way of that would indicate to us that there's a bunch of missed rounds fired. We see a pretty good dust plume right here from where a projectile hit the wall, and then we see the screen right here on the vending machine change appearance. So it's obviously been hit. But we obviously see a crap ton of stuff hitting this little flower bed area right in here since he's gone down to the ground. And so I'd imagine a bunch of rounds probably went in there. But I think his body soaked up the other ones. Damn. Lit his ass up. Not too far forward. And watch him as he falls down on the ground. When he falls down to the ground, that gun, one of those guns, comes back up and aims out at the police. So watch him. He recovered not too bad, to be honest. I mean, I don't like to give bad guys any props or anything like that, but, you know, you got to give credit where credit's kind of due. And he falls down, and he gets that one gun back in the fight pretty quick. Like, he's in a hell of gunfire right now. He's hit the ground, smacked it hard. He's probably already been shot already. And that gun is, boom, back into the fight. He is aiming it at them, finger on the trigger. He is fighting. I wish they wouldn't have put the blur box on there and we could see more. Was that his gun? All right, there's something that slides along here, and it looks like it's smoking, and I don't know what it is. There, like, was that a gun? What the hell was that? Uh, man, there's no. Will this go down to a? Yeah, let's go to half the speed here. Oh man, you can barely see it. What the hell is that? I don't know what that is, but it's big. I don't know. That almost looked like his gun's flying across the floor there. I don't know what that is. It almost looks like a gun, but it could be some of the mulch and stuff from the little flower bed thing. But yeah, man, this guy he recovers well. He comes out shooting, goes to the ground pretty quick. Like I said, I think he kind of fell, but I mean he could have took rounds. But man, he hit that ground, and that gun was right back up. Bam. Guess it's wig split. Um, so when you think about fight, flight, or freeze, um, those are the options people do when they are faced with deadly force encounters, um, or deadly encounters. Um, they're either going to fight, they're going to try to run, or they're just going to freeze in place. Like they're just going to be overcome with so much fear, they're just not going to move. Um, the last video that I did, St. Louis County at the gas station, the dude that killed the other guy at the gas pump, and then the cop came up and started shooting at him. That dude, his response was flight. He took off running real quick. He took rounds, obviously lethal rounds that hit him, and continued to run a little bit more before falling down and collapsing. So his initial response was to run away. This guy, I would suspect that he was intending to run away, escape coming out that door. I'm sure that his intent was to lay down suppressive fire with his pistols there. If he took out cops, then a plus for that. But I think he was probably trying to make a run for it. And he gets met. He gets met with some deadly force there, hits the ground hard, and you know that he's been shot at this point, right? Like this, it almost seems inevitable that he has been shot, but yet that gun comes back up real quick. And even if he hasn't been shot, there is a freaking barrage of bullets coming at him. Like there's multiple officers out there shooting at him. But that gun comes back up fast. And he is aiming that gun and he is trying to fire that gun. And so the fight, flight, freeze. You can train as much as you want, and you can modify to an extent how some people will react to contact. But some people, they've either got the fight in them or they don't. And we've seen this in videos when it comes to some peace officers getting into gunfights. We can see that some officers, they ain't got the fight in them. I'll use the active killer event in Florida. I think it's Parkland High School. The school resource officer who did nothing. Uvalde. Uvalde. Like everyone wants to talk about Uvalde. Examples of like that, where dudes, and maybe even women in Uvalde, I don't know, but people. Let's be inclusive here, right? And let's say people. There's people who have trained for deadly force encounters. They've gone through firearms training. Hopefully, most likely, have done at least some force-on-force training. And the fight happens, they're not fighting. They've been trained to fight, but it just don't happen. So it's one of those things that you can't train it into someone, right? Like it's got to be in them somehow. And you've either got it or you don't. And a lot of these street cats, man, they got it, right? Like that's how they were raised. This dude's Brooklyn, New York. He's obviously wanted for multiple felony warrants or investigations. He's a fighter, right? And as much shit as we like to talk about these dirtbag criminals and how I'll say it, dehumanize them. I think that realistically we misgauge them, misjudge them. We don't recognize the fact that some of them are, I don't want to say good fighters, but some of them have some really good fighting spirit in them. I do think we underestimate some of these hoodlums. You got to think, like, they've been raised in a lifestyle where they have to fight for what they want. They take stuff, right? It is a dog eat world kind of thing with them, right? Like do or die, win, lose, or die trying. I mean, it is that kind of lifestyle for them on the streets. And you're either going to eat or you're going to get eaten. And the ones that come out on top in the streets they're the fighters, right? Now, not every street thug criminal's like this. You got some who are, making by and surviving without having to fight. But there's ones out there who are doing the gangbanging and doing the tough stuff. They got that. Some of them got that fighting spirit in them, and they've got that trigger experience, right? They've shot at people before. They've been in gun battles before. There's some of them who've been in more gun battles than the police. You got to think, the majority of the police officers out here in our nation get to go their entire career without ever shooting someone or shooting at anybody. Think about your local police department. When was the last time they ever got into a gunfight? And if it was recent, try to think about when was the time before that. Now, if you're in like one of these large metropolitan cities and you're like, man, we've had gunfights like for the last, we've had like 5 of them so far within the last year. I'm sorry that your town sucks. But try to think about like your surrounding areas, the smaller towns, the more normal places. Your normal towns, your normal cities, or normal counties out there, they're just not they're not experiencing gunfights. There are police agencies in this country that in their recorded history, none of their officers have ever been in a gunfight. There are agencies out there who the last time they had a gunfight was years ago. That's the reality of the matter. There are street thugs out there. They've been in multiple gunfights throughout their life. So they have a little bit of an edge to some degree on a lot of our police officers and a lot of our regular armed citizens who wanted to defend themselves against bad. Some of these bad guys have got that stress inoculation. They've been there, they've done that. They've experienced that adrenaline dump before. For our police officers, the only thing that we can do for them to get them close to that is force-on-force training, doing reality-based training scenarios with simunition guns, using man-marking cartridges. That is the closest that we can replicate being in a gunfight without actually being in a gunfight. So at least some of our police officers have a little bit of a better edge if the thing ever actually happens for them. Our regular armed citizens out there, majority have never been through force-on-force training whatsoever. A lot of people, the only training they've had is maybe a concealed carry course or a pistol permit course, whatever their state calls it. That's it. Maybe out of some of those, some of them pay to go to commercial firearms training schools like Gunsight, Tactical Response, Thunder Ranch, Sage Dynamics, places like that. But even then, the classes that they take they're just pistol classes, right? When it comes to force-on-force stuff, using simunition guns, it's a very small number of people out there in the commercial world doing that, and a small number of students who are partaking in that. So, lots of criminals out there with lots of gunfighting experience, and they've got some more experience than what the police got. All right, so we see this dude eat a bunch of lead. Probably took enough lead in his body to use his dick as a pencil. Let's go see what that other angle looked like. I can't remember what the other angle was. I don't think there's much on there, so we'll go take a quick look at it. All right, so here is that third camera angle. Again, not much is shown with this one. It just kind of shows the entrance and exit area. The only thing we got to see is right in here, I guess, is when this guy's coming out. Yeah. So not much to see on this third angle here. So that is it on this video. Not really a whole lot to see, but we do get to see enough to be able to talk about some things. And I don't recall seeing this video on any of the other normal officer-involved shooting video channels out there. So I thought it would be interesting for people to want to watch. If you like what you hear and see, go ahead and give me a like and a share. If you have not already, hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for more Monday quarterback videos. Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching.